So I just got back from watching Iron Lung. It is pushing 2 a.m. We watched a very late screening, and as a very big fan of Markiplier, or at least used to be, I can't be watching people 24/7 anymore like I used to. The movie was kind of, Iron Lung specifically, was kind of just, It's kind of just okay. Um, I don't think it was bad, but I don't think it was good. And I think the problem that it has, first of all, the biggest issue is that it drags on way too long, which I think is funny because I think Edge of Sleep actually has the opposite issue. I think that's the name of it, Edge of Sleep. Hold on, I'm gonna double check that. Edge of Sleep, on the other hand, I feel like was too short in the sense of it could have used an extra episode or two to like really nail it, whereas this one, it could have been like an entire hour shorter, and honestly, I wouldn't feel like I lost any importance to the film, which that may sound bad, but I think the problem comes with some scenes just taking way too long, or Mark kind of just sitting there, or like extra cinematic shot. But it's like every single section of the movie is just extra cinematic shot. And it can get quite repetitive, especially after like the 30-minute to 1 hour mark. Pun not intended, I guess. Also, Mark, if you're watching, make another movie. I would like to see what you do. That problem mainly persists for definitely the second half of the film. I would cut the movie into thirds in terms of plot relevance of like what's happening. There's like the first portion, which is arguably the best portion, which is like the very beginning where Mark is actually interacting with the person over the intercom and finds spoilers, by the way, finds the human remains, and then he is like, oh, he goes back up and does the thing. Uh, that was honestly the most entertaining part of the movie, where something was happening, and then it's like, oh, he's got to go back and he's got to do more and more and more. Whereas the second half of the film, or the second portion, is kind of where he's just lost. It's basically him just playing the game, but like nothing is happening for until he finds the other ship. I don't even know how long that lasted, because this is like a 2.5 hour movie, I want to say. And an hour of it just feels like he is just driving the ship and going place, which it makes perfect sense that he is locked in a literal metal casket that is slowly dripping blood and stuff. But that's like the entire movie anyways, so I don't think there needed to be a section. I feel like it could have been a really short montage instead of like however long it actually took, like an hour. It is honestly like what it felt like, maybe an hour and a half. But then there's the third half of the movie, which I guess is the climax. That happens when once again the second portion of the movie basically has nothing happening in it. I could have walked away, made dinner, and come back, and nothing else would have changed. Whereas the third half of the movie gets interesting again because stuff is happening. You see the monster, or you're more aware of the monster because it is talking and weird things are happening. But it feels convoluted, I guess is the fair statement. The problem is that if there was exposition payoff or smaller details, I completely miss them, because the second biggest problem that the movie has, this probably could have been solved if closed captions were on, or if you have any form of subtitles, is that when big things are happening and people are talking, it's hard to hear what they're saying. One person's talking over the other, things are happening, but it's not just like, oh, chaos is occurring and you can't hear it. It's like, oh, chaos. It's not anything like that, because it's, I assume, supposed to be actually important exposition and talking. For instance, when Simon, the main character, meets or finds the other crash ship the second time and downloads all of the stuff on it, it's like there's sentences, and I hear like half of a sentence, and then I hear nothing, and then half of a sentence, and then nothing. It's like I kind of get what's happening. Don't drink the blood. That's about it. And I think the idea is the person who drank the blood, who was on the SM-8, became the monster. That's my guess. Or the monster's just there. I don't know, dude, because I couldn't really hear it. I just know that they're dead. The ship went kaboom. And the it's just the weird imagery mixed in with not being able to hear exposition. It's like it's not that I was like disappointed in the movie. I wouldn't say that I was bored. I went with a group of 5, and I could definitely say that 2 of them just did not like the movie at all, and they were just completely bored. And I think the only reason why they didn't just like stop the movie or leave, even though we were in the movie theater, is because they were like with friends, and then they needed a ride back home. But I can tell you that they very much did not enjoy the movie, and honestly, the movie could have ended like an hour and a half sooner, and it felt stale. I guess that is the best description that I can feel it. It's like some of the cinematics are amazing. I love the camera work in it and the blood, and then like there's like a scene where the camera's completely upside down and then you're watching the reflection in the dial for the compass. Like that's really cool. There were really great imagery. And then it just falls apart right at the last 10 minutes of the film, where there's just like a shaky camera. You're just like trying to watch things happen. There's a boss fight going on, and then you just see like this just happening, and you're like, I don't know, I can't see anything. What is going on? Like, please, like, stop shaking. Like, maybe like a little bit of that would have been okay, but then that's like not the case. And the monster was there, which we knew was happening. It wasn't just like, oh, a jump scare or anything like that. But I guess it bit into the ship with its big long teeth, which is what I recognize it as because of the images of it that we've seen. Other than that, I probably like what the heck is going on? Is it a tentacle from like all the blood sprawling out? I don't know. He's like hitting it, but once again, the shaky camera's like, is he doing something? Like, what does he have in his hand? Is that the water bottle that had the only thing of water that was in it? And he was like hitting it. I guess, I think, I maybe. And if there was an explanation of what is real or wrong, or like what actually happened or what didn't happen, because there are some chronic liars in this. Ava, or the woman over the intercom, which I presume was dead and was killed by the monster. I think they dove as well, and then the monster got them. There are other ships like confirmed, but then they're saying no. And then at first I thought like Simon had a brother, but then there's like the cult. The cult. He has like the little dangly thing on his arm, but that doesn't fully get explained, or I don't even see like imagery of that being brought up ever again. We kind of just see it, and I'm like, is Simon part of a cult that was killing people for this thing, and then now he turned a blind eye, or was it actually not his fault? But then like the monster's like, come into the light, and then there's that slow motion scene that lasts like 2 minutes of just like blood coming through the ship, and then it's just like, no, that doesn't happen. One thing that I forgot to mention is I don't fully understand why the monster is the way that it is in terms of like how it's acting. And I would assume that because there's the I guess the cult thing, like going into the light, presumably is what it is, in terms of like, it's like seemingly 2 evils of like the monster, which is like a weird death cult thing, and then there's the humanity, which is kind of just like kill people to try and save humanity, kind of. And I don't understand why the monster waits as long as it does to actually attempt to kill Simon or like eat him. Maybe in the sense of it wants the blood to get in, but Simon not to die because it wants it to transform. I don't fully understand why it acts the way that it does, of come to this exact location and then I will ascend you, and then, oh, okay, you will not be ascended, so I'm going to eat you now. I don't like fully understand it, why. Maybe it is like a monster or something that's built off of grief or guilt or something, like feeds off of the emotions of whatever it eats or something like that. If that was explained at all, or if it's just monster being bad because it can be bad, so it hurts people because it's bad, then that was probably never explained, or at least I couldn't hear it. And I kind of just don't know why. I don't. Maybe it could have been interesting. There's actually a book that I read called Parasite, not the anime. It was just called Parasite, and it has like 4 like small short stories into like one book. It's on my shelf somewhere. I don't remember where it is. And in that book, characters actually do die, but the thing is that it doesn't treat the monsters the same way as like the previous book. People get more and more knowledgeable of the monster, or they last a little bit longer. But for half the book, you're the main characters. Basically, everyone that is quote unquote good in those portions are dead. So I think it would have been pretty cool if Simon were to die and they actually sent another person. Or maybe there were people before Simon that was sent, but we didn't fully learn that in the movie. So, I don't know, I just feel like that there was more on the monster on why the way that it was, and not just, I'm not going to eat you right now because I'm not hungry, I guess. I don't know. Or maybe genuinely, this goes with my thought process of the SM8 survivors, was actually consumed by, or the one that was like eating or drinking the blood was transformed into the monster, and it doesn't want that data to go back to humanity because it wants more people to keep being dropped in to be consumed. That's my guess, but like I said, that doesn't make any sense as to why the monster doesn't destroy the ship in the first place. If it truly did just want you to not, I guess that's a thing, is that you get the person lost and then they send another ship for help, which I guess did actually happen. I think Ava and David and I don't know the name of the third person actually did go back down to record the black box and then go back up, leaving Simon to die anyways, because I think that he's a lost cause. But if that was genuinely what happened, couldn't hear it, unfortunately. There could have been more backstory. That would have been pretty cool. I'm trying to think of things to say, but it's 2 a.m. and it's kind of like the movie was just okay. It's like it falls into like okay to bad territory, where Markiplier, or Mark Edward Fishbach, I think that's his full name, he acted really good, I think. It's like the cinematics, the acting, the premise is all really cool, but because it literally just takes place in an iron box, not much happens. And it's not like the movie was completely afraid of having shots outside of the box. The movie starts with an outside shot, and then it technically ends with an outside shot, including the big kaboom. Spoilers. Simon sacrifices himself to destroy the monster, presumably. Presumably in the sense that I assume it actually worked, because we don't get a full confirmation with that. So it just makes me wish that there was more outside shots, which probably was avoided because of budget reasons, which I think the CG in it was actually pretty good. And just, like, in general, I think the set was good, the CG was good of however much that was. It's like, this movie, the Iron Lung movie, is like a very, very pretty looking delicious cake. It's like an Acme cartoon, like a very, like some Looney Tunes stuff. It's just like there's like a table, and on that table there's a cake, and then the person goes to eat it, and then it's actually like one of those cardboard stand-ups of just a cake. It's like, it looks really pretty, and I can see the passion and the love and the things that are put into it. It's like, this is great, but it's teetering on the edge of nothing happening, while also being a little suspenseful, but also like nothing happening. And I do not have a problem with slow parts of the movie, or slow parts in a movie or TV show in general, as long as I feel like that there's payoff. And I've heard some people say that they don't like the beginning of the film, but honestly, the beginning of the film is the most interesting, because things are actually happening and not just, we are piloting the ship. And I think that's the funny thing, because genuinely, I think it would be a better experience to just watch the game or play the game yourself, because at that point you are interacting with it. I actually have not watched or played the game before, which is why I was interested in wanting to know the lore, and disappointed that the lore was covered up by music and sound effects and I couldn't hear the person talking at all. So I think that's a downside. And full disclosure, I actually didn't even pay for the movie. I went to AMC, and there's like those black tickets that you can watch a movie for free. So technically I didn't even pay for the movie, and I feel like unsatisfied, or like it's stale. It was like eating stale cereal. I would never want to watch the movie again, nor would I probably ever recommend it to anyone. But it's not something that I would necessarily forget. In for instance, the Borderlands movie, we watched that. Me and a friend, Victor, watched that online, and honestly, I forgot that I watched that movie the next day. Whereas this one, in my head, I'm thinking about it because I'm thinking about the upsides and the downsides of the movie. Upsides being cinematics and acting and premise, downsides being kind of very slow, not a lot of things happening, and way too many repeat, just Simon sitting there just like, oh, I'm having a bad day, which completely reasonable of a reaction in terms of a circumstance. So I think it's a controversial film. I do not think it's a good film or a bad film. And I think part of it being a not very enjoyable film, especially for most of us in the group, because most basically all of us went in and came out of the movie being that was better than what we thought what it was going to be, from like what you can expect from a very low budget film from a YouTuber, not even like a full uh, director or someone that has experience in that sort of field. That's where I find it weird that Edge of Sleep I think was just better, but I think they had a much bigger budget and also was like on Amazon, I think. So like they had some budget, but like recording constraints. Whereas this one, I feel like something was lost in the movie making experience. I'm trying to think of other things while I'm still here because it's 2 a.m. and I kind of just want to go to bed. The music was fine, suspenseful. I would consider it really good D&D music. I kind of want to use it, and it is up on like Spotify and stuff. So it's really good suspenseful music if it isn't covering the dialogue, but I probably wouldn't say that there is a motif for the music. If I were to hear it playing somewhere else, I probably wouldn't recognize of, oh, that's the soundtrack from Iron Lung. I think with what they had at their disposal, I think it was fine. I would say that a fair rating for the movie, depending on who would want to watch it, is like a 3 to like maybe a 6. Maybe probably like a 2 to a 5 is probably the fair range of it's kind of just okay, but I didn't not enjoy it for at least some parts of it, and those parts are specifically the more spooky parts of just like, oh, that's bad, but like what's going on, specifically the fishman who is supposed to be Mark, or sorry, Simon, it's supposed to be in a hallucination. It's unclear of what is the light affecting Simon, or what is him just losing his mind because of the oxygen, or what is actually real or not. And if it was meant to come off as being confusing in that way, then I think they did a good job, but I don't think that is a necessarily enjoyable experience for the average person, even though I feel like most people that were coming into this movie was because Markiplier movie, not really Iron Lung movie or anything like that. The blood was really, really cool. Just a little convoluted, confusing, that I feel like a secondary watch or more, maybe, but the average person isn't going to rewatch something more than once, or wait a short enough amount of time that they would remember what they saw in the first movie clear enough that they would remember for the second watch. Or for people that have, or at least know the lore of the game, like I kind of looked at it and it was like I said, I haven't played or watched it, and I was like, okay, that's pretty cool, of like stuff happening, or like ifs, ands, or that's why I feel like they should have taken the risk in showing more outside perspective, especially near the end of the movie. And like I said, if any of that was said over the intercom, couldn't hear it. It was just droned out. And then there's like the big climax happening. I was like, I want to know what's happening. So they could have shown, I don't know, an outside perspective of the world, maybe more of like the monster outside of the explosion, maybe some with the people that were alive on the ship, and maybe showing why you being in that basic coffin is a bad thing, because you would just die. But yeah, I think a lot more lore could have been on the table that would have been more obvious. Or maybe if Simon was gonna like talk to himself maybe a little bit more and like talk about things, like read things out loud, that would have been cool. But I think that's where it kind of just feels stale. And like I said, it is a very pretty looking cake that ends up just being a fake cardboard piece. I am excited to watch Edge of Sleep season 2, if that ever happens or whenever. And I will be excited if he makes another movie. I just feel like the premise of this was too limited of a scope to have meat on those ribs. It's kind of the problem that I would say for it. But movie was kind of just, it was okay. It was okay. I can see the love and the passion, but it fell a little short in terms of being enjoyable probably for most, and most was at least two members in my group that just wish they never watched it. So thank you so much for watching. Markiplier, for watch this. Hey, big fan. Been there since like 2012 or something. Definitely before 100,000 subscribers, maybe even before 10,000 subscribers. I didn't even have a YouTube account at that time, so I couldn't even subscribe at that point yet. But I hope you make bigger, cool things, because I see the vision. Execution was maybe a little too on the nose for the game, and that ultimately hurt a movie viewing experience rather than something that works more in just a video game. So thank you so much for watching. I hope you have an amazing, wonderful rest of the day. Goodbye.